My name's Liam. I am one of the Hustle Brothers here. Here on my own today. Just a little bit weird. We will have Chris joining very, very soon. Guys, I'm so hyped. I didn't actually think, I know Elon does like to be quite aggressive on his timelines. I didn't think we'd get Starship launch today, but look, we're going for round 2. We're about 55% go for launch weather side at the start of the window. So hopefully we will see some fireworks today. Not literally, because I want this to be a successful test flight. But guys, do let me know, how excited are you for this? What have you been doing today? To be fair, myself, I have had quite a busy day. So you know I am a full-time farmer, so I started off my day as usual on the farm. But it's not every day you get to interview a CEO from the NASDAQ. We did interview CEO of Horizon Aircraft, Brandon Robinson. Very exciting interview. It will be dropping at, it's about 1 hour prior to opening bell tomorrow. That was at request of the company. So I know, guys, we said it would be out tonight, but at request of the company, we will be pushing it back until 1 hour before the opening bell. A lot of exciting news in there. Some heavy hitting information. Put it this way, there's a quick disclaimer here. Myself and Mark, prior to the stream, bought 500 shares of Hover. Just get ourselves hyped up for it. And after the interview, we bought 5,000 shares each. Do not follow us in. That is not financial advice. That is just being wholly honest with you, telling you exactly what we have done. By the sounds of that, you know how that interview went. It was fire. It was probably the toughest questions we've ever asked Brandon live. And look, I'm not going to say too much. You can fire it there tomorrow. But we will be doing a giveaway tomorrow. Brandon has supplied us with Horizon Aircraft merch, and we will be giving them out to some viewers. So do check that video out. But look, we're not here to talk about eVTOLs. We're here to talk about Starship's launch. Now, guys, I am live, and I just have to get a charger. That shows you how real this stream is. Always when I stream on my own, I forget to bring my charger in. So, getting into it, we are looking at, let me see, T-minus 1 hour, 20 minutes. I will get into the whole timeline of the countdown, what we expect. We'll talk you through what's going on, and then we're expecting about half an hour prior to launch, SpaceX will start their stream. We will be streaming that, and you'll get our commentary along the way. But jumping into the comments, is the Hover Live and interview still happening? So, my guy, this happened, it was around, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We have completed the interview. Very exciting interview. It will be dropping an hour before opening bell. Dieter, hey, let's go space. Congratulations on winning one of the memberships yesterday. Great day, 3,000 subscribers. I want to thank you so much for supporting us every single day. Oh yeah, fingers crossed. Still plenty of time before launch. Look, 55% weather, go for launch at the start of the launch window. I'm thinking it is a 2-hour launch window again. For me, that'll put me back until 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm hoping for an early launch. But look, I'm staying up no matter what for a Starship launch. But going across to it, we're going to look through the countdown, and then we're going to get into a few details around Starship. Guys, any of you hear the news around Rocket Lab today? Wallop's Vantage did share a really nice image of the Neutron launch pad, and I will bring that up as well, my guys. So, getting into it, countdown. We are sitting at T-minus 1 hour, 18 minutes. So we can expect within the next minute or so, the SpaceX flight director conducts a poll and verifies the go for propellant load. Once we get that go for propellant load at 53, 3 minutes, we get the ship fuel, the liquid methane load underway. At 45 minutes, 20 seconds, it goes for ship liquid oxygen load underway. 41 minutes, 37, booster fuel load underway, with 35:52, the booster LOX load underway. We're pushing down then into the final 20 minutes. It's 1940, the Raptor begins engine chill on the booster and ship. And at 3:20, the ship propellant load is complete. So this is normally when we get a hold sign if there's a problem with any of the gases inside the propellant tanks. Then 2 minutes 50, booster propellant load complete. Again, T-minus 30 seconds, SpaceX flight director verifies go for launch. This is where the adrenaline starts. We wait for 20 seconds, and probably the most exciting part of the pre-launch, the flame deflector activation starts. Now, guys, the reason for this, remember the big crater they blew into the ground, triggered that environmental survey. They more or less blew the ground to Kingdom Come on their first launch. So they now have a flame deflector system. It's these shoots out thousands of gallons of water. Helps with the sound and also helps save the pad, put it that way. 3 seconds, Raptor ignition sequence begins. We get that really beautiful ignition of the Raptor engines. We see the fire and it gets covered in cloud. You can barely see Starship. And then at T-minus 0, the excitement is guaranteed. At any point, ship can blow up. Not expecting this. Look, today we're not expecting a catch of the booster. They're going to purposely turn off on the boosters as it does its flip maneuver. One of the center engines will close down, and they are purposely pushing the booster to its limits to see what it will do in an abnormal situation. Can it land? But I've got my guy here, Chris. Mate, we go again. How are we getting on?
I barely made it. Thanks for keeping everybody entertained before I got here. Apologies, guys. But I'm in. I'm happy finally home, back to where I belong in my little paradise back here on the river. Last night was a lot of fun. Tonight should be a lot more fun because we should be hopefully getting the launch tonight. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm excited as always, man. Always love being here. Always love being here.
Guys, if you're new here, even if you're not new here, if you're here every single day, that means more than ever. Smash the like button. Every like gives us 10 more viewers, helps grow this family. We are now the Space Fan Club. We will be covering everything space, not just Rocket Lab, but absolutely everything. Before we get into heavy SpaceX, Chris, I want to share what Wallet's Vantage put up only within the last while. We have the Neutron launch pad being complete. How beautiful does that look, my guy?
I've been waiting for this. I wanted to ask him a few questions. I'm going to hit him up a little bit later in the chats. Sorry, I'm walking in and out of the house. I'm trying to get set up here. Really quick too, we didn't have a chance to check my sound, so guys, let me know how the sound is. I'm too loud, whatever. Apologies. I'm late, man. I'm not always late, but I was late today. But those shots, man, that pad looks absolutely beautiful. It really does. It looks absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see it up close.
Chris, I think we lost you there for a second. Guys, I am
Sorry, I had to mute it. My neighbor came over. Was walking through, was trying to talk to me. Yeah, right. He's actually going to go tune in and watch this live. He just got off work, but he's my landlord's grandson, and he's over here all the time because he jumps on the kayaks and the paddle boards. And great kid. I mean, he's 20, so I guess he's not really a kid, but he's my kid's age, so to me, he's a kid. Great guy, but yeah, he pops in from time to time. Again, I'm just getting settled, guys. Apologies.
I'm currently waiting for confirmation from SpaceX that propellant load is on the way, so I will be keeping everyone updated. Randall, big shout out. Hey, everyone. Look, Randall's here every day. Big VIP in here. Love to see you, my guy.
Yeah, welcome back, Randall, man. Thanks so much for the support. And I'm not going to name everyone person by person. I got off this stream last night and I had more comments and more messages in my DMs than I ever really wanted. But as always, you guys always feed me all kinds of tidbits, all kinds of good feedback. Whether you're commenting on the live and going, "Hey, Chris, try this," or maybe if you do this, it'd be a little better. I love that, by the way. But also just insight on what you found in your research and whether you're looking at a SpaceX or Redwire or Blue Origin or whatever. So we can't possibly cover it all. And sometimes we'll start on a subject and we'll get excited about something else and kind of forget we were there because we're going live. This is not scripted, so it's not always going to be perfect. But again, it's because of you guys in the comments and the chats, and obviously all the DMs that we get only helps us grow, get better, and give you guys more of what you come here for. So again, just want to give a shout out and thanks to everybody.
The beauty of non-scripted, yeah, I actually prefer it this way, Chris. It's a lot more natural. Me and you don't prep for any of this, but you know what? You get each other's full reaction. You get the honest answers. Look, if we don't know, I'll be dead honest. We don't know because I'm not going to make myself look. I make myself look like an idiot anyway in front of everyone. I'm not going to make myself look like more of an idiot pretending I know stuff I don't. Look, when it comes to SpaceX, I will tell you I am passionate about Rocket Lab. I'm an investor in Rocket Lab. So I feel like my knowledge on Rocket Lab is far superior than it is on SpaceX. SpaceX, I am just a complete space fan. Love everything they're doing. But when it comes to if you tell me some technicals around the Raptor engine, mate, I will just sit back and listen. So it's going to be a learning journey for me and Chris. It's going to teach us an awful lot about this whole space. I don't even want this whole concept to even be about investing. I quite like the thought of it being about everything to do with space. I want any of our space fan club streams to be, look, just get to know me and Chris as people. Anyone can ramble off financials or I don't know if the amount of thrust the engine has, but not everyone can come on and just be themselves. Put the neck on the line kind of thing. Act like the fool, but do you know what? We're here together. I always say it, yeah. We are the biggest bunch of saddles, Chris. Honestly, look, we're here every single day.
That's
we
funny.
we do
Is that a
video.
farm reference, man? Is that a farm reference? Is that what that is a farm reference? That's great. And you're right. You're right. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I did want to pop in this really quick. When it does come to the investment side and the financials, we've already had some of the best guests on, and you guys already follow a lot of them. If you don't, we're going to continue to have those people on, and that's what they do. If I'm going to get into the financials, and I really want to know the numbers part, we've got one of the best there is in the business, and he's a great guy. As a matter of fact, he's going to be out at Wallace in a couple of days for the ribbon cutting
Oh
ceremony.
no, I'm going hitting him up. I am jealous as shit about that. Yeah,
Well,
him,
we should all
Matty,
be jealous.
Vince, Dave, mate. I'm so jealous, my guy.
I hit them all up today. I offered my help if they need. I mean, I am in Virginia.
I'll be there
Um,
+1. I don't care. Like,
well, I just wanted to make sure, of course, it can get kind of crazy depending on where they're landing at. I said, look, if you guys need any help, worst case scenario, if you need backup, whatever you need, just give me a call. I'm not that far. Be happy to help in any way, especially coming from a different country, like Vince. A little bit easier, no offense to the Canadians. I mean, you're still kind of, within boundary, but Vince is crossing oceans and blah, blah, blah. It can be a bit of a culture shock. So, especially if they're going into Norfolk, it's a madhouse over there. So, yeah, I just reached out. They were very kind and very receptive. We love those guys. But it's guys like that, we've had on, they've had us on with them. We're not going to run away from Rocket Lab. We love Rocket Lab. It's my favorite company in the world. We're not going to run away from the investment side and stop bringing. We're always going to bring in those people on. But they do it better than we do. We say it all the time. We're not the experts, but luckily we've made great friends with who we consider to be the experts in the field. People we followed for years, and we consider them again to be friends of ours, and always love having them on. And we're going to continue to do that. But we are going to branch out more because we're just basically big space nerds. And I only found Rocket Lab because I wanted to invest in SpaceX, and of course you couldn't. So I was looking for the next best thing, and to me that is the next best thing, and I do get to invest in it, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. And of course, a lot of other companies as well. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew, like, hey, no, Chris and Liam aren't just running away from Rocket Lab and the investing side, but we do want to branch out because again, we realize space is big, and we miss out sometimes on the fun part because we're so focused on that other side. Yesterday we were so psyched about the launch, like little kids. It reminded us of why we're investing in these companies as far as space and why we get so emotionally invested. So, yeah, that's basically why we're doing it, because we're just big kids. We're lucky to have this platform, and we're going to go live every chance we get for every launch we can. Um, we want everyone to succeed. We said that last night, and yeah, it's hard not to get excited. Whether it is, any to me, it could be any rocket launch. I'm excited about all of them, but a big fan of Elon, of course. So
Yeah,
yeah, sorry I went on a bit of a rant there, but I just
no, you're
had to
fine.
add that in.
No, and
And remind everybody.
I want to say to the guys too, like, this is what is going to prevent myself and yourself from burning out. Me and Chris speak to each other every single day, and do you know what? Sometimes it's nice to be able to speak to your friend when it's not only about investing, even though we are so passionate about investing. So it does stress you out sometimes. So it's nice to be able to sit back, relax, enjoy something we both love with each other, and then share it with the community. Look, I don't care really if 2 people watch, whether 200 people watch. Honestly, whoever's here is welcome. You steer the stream, you jump into the comments, and we will speak whatever you want to speak about. But looking at
Yeah,
it, we're
that's
counting
a big
down.
thing. That's a big thing. As a comment, you guys will always be steering these conversations and these lives. Um, from day one, that's been a big thing for me. And Liam will tell you that, hey, one thing I want to make sure we do is that we don't forget about the people in the comments, because they may come up with something better than we have going on as far as intel, and it's a lot more fun that way. To me, it's just a lot more fun. It feels like more like a family, like a real community, than just you coming on YouTube and watching, some guy just spout out a bunch of information, um, and not having any kind of input. So always, guys, tell us what you think. Give us your thoughts. Give us your feedback. And as always, thanks ahead. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then jumping across to Starship. So, as I said, weather is currently 55% favorable for the launch at the start of the window. So, don't panic, guys. I'm expecting it to be a 2-hour launch window. We will find out more from SpaceX themselves. But Bag of Holding is actually pretty close to the launch site. Now, Bag is asking when is it? So it is in T minus 1 hour, 4 minutes. SpaceX's stream does start in what? Less than 25 minutes or so. When is it launching? It looks like it could rain. So Bag of Holding, please keep us updated on the weather around there. We did get a scrub yesterday. That was to do with the ground systems, but weather could push us back. Bag of Holding says he can usually hear Starship from his house and see the smoke trail. My guy, record it, yeah, and send it to us. That'd
That's
be wild.
crazy. That's awesome.
Then, Versi and C, big day for me. Portfolio at 50%, including my 50% drop during the tariffs. You all have impacted my portfolio without financial advice. Thank you, my guy. Yeah, we don't give financial advice. To be fair, we are idiots, but I do feel like we're normally right. Who said it before? We're normally right of our investments. Our timing can just be a little bit off. I am quite emotional, so that's why I'd never invest following me. I said it before we interviewed Brandon Robinson, the CEO, earlier. Myself and Mark bought 500 shares in just to hype ourselves up. And after it, we said if it goes well, we'll invest more. So we both bought 5,000 shares each. Again, don't follow us in there. I am just a very emotional man.
Congrats on the portfolio, bro. I love seeing the positivity. I love seeing everyone succeed. And I love the comment. We get that sort of similar comment almost every day now, whether here or in our DMs, where people would say, "Hey, I was watching you guys and kind of forgot that it was about investing. We were just having fun." That's mostly what it's about. We don't give out investing advice. We try not to, at least the basic stuff. I mean, so I guess I'm a little wrong about what I just said. So I apologize. We do want to make sure that people aren't just jumping in and watching, all these crazy different, people that they can't relate to on YouTube and trying to follow their stuff. I mean, I learned the hard way. So I imagine it like I'm doing now and teaching my kids, and they're just getting to the age where they can, legally invest on their own. And so I do take that approach. So I will say things, the basic stuff that you can look up online, all the Warren Buffett quotes, the basic stuff. But I'm never going to say go buy this stock or sell it this time. To that extent, no, not at all. But the basic stuff, of course, I want you guys to, remember why we do it, the fun part about it, and the easy basic mistakes that most people do when they first get into investing. That's the mindset here. It's not for, if you've got 100 million shares, I'm glad you're watching. We always try and have fun, but we're not going to relate to you just because you already know all that basic stuff. It's for the newer people that are just getting in, whether it's a Rocket Lab or I don't care who it is, honestly, but it works for everybody. It's not just focused on one company, if that makes sense.
Guys, jump into the comments now. Do let me know. Do you expect this to be a successful test flight? Yes, we are going to get Starship push themselves to the absolute extreme. The booster is going to cut off one engine. We're going to land at sea and hopefully hover just before we drop into the Gulf of America. With the second stage, we are missing a few tiles. That is purposeful. They are testing out a few new materials, a new cooling heat tile. Do you expect us to survive re-entry? I know the rear flaps are having some experimental tiles put onto them just to see if they can bear the aerodynamic pressure coming back in. But Vassian C says, when I was on the fence about Archer and Joby, I came across the Hustle Brothers, and I should have listened about Rocket Lab sooner. Vast, you know what, my guy? I should have listened to you sooner when it comes to some of the rare earth materials that you were investing in and some of the drone stocks. So, my guy, look, we all learn every single day. I think you're still very, very early in Rocket Lab. We're expecting $80 to $100 by the end of the year. So, do you know what? You're here now, and let's just stick with it. Bagger Holden says the first time he heard Starship, he was asleep and thought there was. I don't want to say that on YouTube.
I was able to read that one. Thanks for keeping it short and to the point because that was funny. Yeah, I can only imagine.
You want to get shut down, my guy? Vassian C says, hoping for excess, wouldn't cry on a failure. And that's the thing. They pushed themselves to the extreme. This is why this is going to be one of the most reliable, safest human launch vehicles there is. I believe the reliability of this will be far superior than Falcon 9. We all know how reliable Falcon 9 is. When they get it up and going, this has been designed from the start to be fully reusable, rapidly reusable. Just like Neutron, I honestly think this is just the next generation of launch vehicle. They're no longer thinking about just getting a certain payload to orbit. They are just pushing everything to the extreme, but they're also being very cost efficient. So, Chris, how do you expect this launch to go? Are you expecting success? We have had a few failures now with this Block 2 Starship. What are you sort of feeling is going to happen?
I agree with Vast. If I don't expect 100% success, it wouldn't bother me if it wasn't. And I don't say that in a negative way. What they're doing is incredibly difficult, and of course, they're pushing the limits when most people would pull back and just get, let's just focus on this one thing. No, they're pulling back and they're pushing the limits even more. And I think that's why a lot of us love Elon, because he's not scared to push the limits. It also shows me they have a lot of confidence in what they're doing as far as a rocket. If they're willing to actually push more and push more instead of trying to pull back, then I'd have a bit more concern long term. I would love to see 100% success. I'm cheering them on. I'm rooting for them. That'd be awesome. But if it's not, it doesn't change my belief that they're going to succeed. At some point, we're going to see this thing launch, and it's going to be perfect. And one day, I do believe we're going to see these things launch on a regular basis. So, bag of holdings, you either want to move or just get used to that rumbling on a regular, almost maybe a daily occurrence. I have no idea.
Every 4 hours, they're
Maybe,
pushing
I mean,
for. Now,
that could
guys,
be, yeah,
is it
yeah.
going to be launching from the Cape once they start going full ramp up? I am not fully sure. Or are they going to continue from Starbase? I'm on the understanding that Starbase is more or less going to be the production site and testing facility, and Cape Canaveral will be well, they'll be launching from once we're fully up and running. But look, I could be completely wrong there. That's just me assuming. Furries, big shout out. My guy, Furries Not a Space. Now, Starship is like seeing your child that you've seen grown over time and improve get taken by your wife in custody. What? Starship is like seeing your child that you've seen grow up over time and improve get taken by your wife in custody. What do you mean by that? CNC says, I think they'll continue from Starbase, then likely both. This puppy is hard to ship. Dylan, big shout out, my guy. Hope you have a great stream and launch tonight. Dylan was one of the guys with me earlier when we were interviewing Brandon. Big shout out, Dylan. Great parts play. Great questions you've asked, Brandon. Do you know what? Adding this boy to our team has been one of the best decisions we've made on this channel. Dylan brings so much insight when it comes to eVTOLs. So make sure to follow him on X. It's Dylan is Dylan12, if I think about it. So for all your eVTOL needs, make sure to hit up Dylan there. Furries Not Space says, I joined because you're only small streamer doing Starship stream. Thank you so much, my guy. It's people like you we do it for. We want this to be a growing space community. We want to be able to speak to every comment.
Yeah, since you're in here, man, you're probably a bit more. I almost guarantee you've watched more launches than I have, and I've watched quite a few of them. But again, you're probably a bit more versed when it comes to everything SpaceX. So don't hesitate if you hear something that we're missing, shout it out. We always give credit to where credit's due, so we're not going to steal your info and go run out and act like it's ours. We're here to learn. I'll be no problem saying that. I do know a lot about SpaceX, but I'm nothing near what I know in a comparison to a rocket lab or something like that, because I can invest. Obviously, I'm going to do a lot more research, but I love everything about SpaceX. But I'm a big nerd, mostly just about the launch. So yeah, don't hesitate, man. Feel free, give us your insight. That's what we're here for.
I'm under the impression that propellant load has not started yet. SpaceX has not put up anything on their X at the moment, and the stream has been pushed back by 15 minutes. So please, guys, do let me know if you have any more information on that. Furries Not Space. My entire channel is space related. Yeah, I'm a bit of a rocket nerd. Furries, do you know what? I'm going to subscribe to you, my guy. We love it here. Do you know what? Myself and Chris, we
I'll be
are
doing the same.
heavily invested in the space industry, and we've started to branch out. We want to create more of a space fan club where we don't only talk about the financial side of space, but we want to get back to our hearts, the little kids inside us. We want to just enjoy rocket launches. We want to enjoy the search for life. We want to enjoy the new frontier of humanity. So, look, you're fully welcome here, my guy.
One of my favorite videos we've done so far was on the upcoming Venus mission, and Rocket Lab is not making any money off that. They're spending money to do it. That's just, I mean, that was just fun, and we like all that nerdy stuff when it comes to space. So yeah, welcome aboard, man. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's hopefully we see this thing, that big freaking giant beast of a rocket get off the pad. That'd be awesome.
Guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to chat us through the whole mission. So what we are going to expect, what we can count as a successful launch, and then I want you guys to jump in and see, does it excite you? Would you have expected more? Or is this exactly how you think it's going to go down? So please do let me know. So jumping across, for any of you guys that were here yesterday, I might bore you a little bit, but I am going to go through it again. So after completing the investigations into the loss of Starship on its 9th test flight and the Ship 36 static fire anomaly. Now that was mad. Did you see that explosion, my guy? That was wild. Hardware and operational changes have been made to increase reliability. You can read the full technical summary. I'm not going through that now. That would be wild. But the upcoming flight will continue to expand the operating envelope on the Super Heavy booster with multiple landing burn tests planned. It will also target similar objectives as previous missions, including Starship's first payload deployment and multiple re-entry experiments geared towards returning the upper stage to the launch site for catch. The booster on this flight test is attempting several flight experiments to gather real-world performance data on future flight profiles and off-nominal scenarios. So guys, do not expect a booster catch on this flight. The Super Heavy booster will attempt these experiments while on a trajectory to an offshore landing point in the Gulf of America and will not return to the launching site for catch. Following stage separation, the booster will flip in a controlled direction before initiating its boost back burn. This maneuver was demonstrated for the first time on Flight 9 and requires less propellant to be held in reserve. Now, just think about that, guys. Less propellant in reserve gives you more propellant to be able to lift more payload to orbit. So, enabling the use of more propellant during the ascent to enable additional payload mass to orbit. It's like I wrote this, Chris. It's not like I read it yesterday, is it? The primary test objective.
I'm still awake, I promise. I'm still awake.
The primary test objectives for the booster will be focused on its landing burn and will use unique engine configurations. One of the 3 center engines used for the final phase of landing will be intentionally disabled to gather data on the ability for a backup engine from the middle ring to complete a landing burn. The booster will then transition to only 2 center engines for the end of the landing burn, entering a full hover while still above the ocean surface. So guys, we don't want to see it drop like a pebble. We want to see that hover, and we will call it out in the stream. It will then be followed by a shutdown and drop into the Gulf of America. The Starship's upper stage will again target multiple in-space objectives, including the deployment of 8 Starlink simulators, similar in size to the next generation Starlink satellites. Now, we have spoken about this when we were talking about Neutron and the Hippo fairing, and why Neutron went for a Hippo fairing and why we didn't see the likes of Starship go for a Hippoferen, and it's all to do with the Starlink satellites. A relight of a single Raptor engine while in space is also planned, and that is just to show that they can light them vacuum engines up in space. So the flight tests include several experiments focused on enabling Starship's upper stage to return to the launch site. A significant number of tiles have been removed from Starship to stress test vulnerable areas across the vehicle during re-entry. And that's why we do see a lot of catastrophic structural damage to Starship on the way down. They do purposely put the ship under extreme stress and push it to its limits. Multiple metallic tile options, including one with active cooling, will test alternative materials for protecting Starship during re-entry. Now just think, they need to get this down to a T. They need to understand that in the unlikely event that they take damage on the way up or they take damage once they land on Mars, how strong is Starship second stage, and how will it adapt when it falls down through the Earth's atmosphere? There's no point having humans on board. And yes, if you have a perfectly working Starship, it can land. But if there is tiles missing, the structure is not able to hold itself. Yes, we're going for a rapidly reusable vehicle, but at least you need, even if the Starship second stage is expendable after it comes down, it still needs to get down safely with people on board. So, jumping back across there, on the sides of the vehicle, functional catch fittings are installed and will test the fittings' thermal and structural performance, along with a section of the tile line receiving a smooth and tapered edge to address hotspots observed during re-entry on Starship's sixth flight test. And that's where we started seeing the burn through happening. Starship's re-entry profile is designed to intentionally stretch the structural limits of the upper stage rear flaps while at the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. So do expect some heavy structural damage on the rear flaps. They are intentionally pushing it to the limit there. Flight tests continue to provide valuable learnings to inform the design of the next generation Starship and Super Heavy vehicles, with production ramping up inside Star Factory at Starbase alongside new launch and test infrastructure actively built in Texas and Florida. The Starship is poised to continue iterating towards a rapidly and reusable launch system. Every time I read it, it fires me up. I know it's a bit boring for some people, but this is the type of shit that proper nerds me out. Chris, what are you saying?
I'm still awake. I'm still here. That was awesome. Yeah, I heard it last night, guys. So I actually had a mute and I walked away and did it. I just got home again. I was late. So normally it's not like this. And I'm even more of an idiot and I'm gonna have more time to relax before I go live, but I had a lot of stuff to do. But basically he's right. I mean we've dumbed it down to just increase propellants, upgrades to the Raptor 2 engines, the thinner forward flap design. I want to see what happens with that. The deploying of the dummy Starlink satellites, that tested payload deployment, the in-space engine relight of the Raptor engine. That's nerdy kind of stuff that I really enjoy seeing, because that shows that they're making huge progress. That's not an easy thing to do. And then the hover before splashdown, if that happens, man, I'm going to be standing on my chair, jumping up and down, cheering. Like the first time I saw the boosters land, I thought it was fake. I thought it was AI. That's the kind of stuff that SpaceX does. And you asked me earlier, do I expect it to be successful? Man, I want it to be so bad. I really do. And I do believe they're going to be successful sooner than later. I'm not going to say they're going to be successful today, but I am cheering for it 100%. 100%. I can't wait, man. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I've just double checked. So the launch has been pushed back by another 15 minutes. So a new T is an hour, 12 minutes. So we are still on the way for launch. I don't mind how many holes we get as long as we don't get a scrub. So jumping back across to the chats, Fast CNC says, at Furries, I subscribed as well. Cheers, buddy. Guys, everyone, please make sure to subscribe to Furries in Outer Space. One of our new friends here, and we know what we do for our new friends. We welcome them in as a family. The Bag of Holden says, have you watched everyday smarter everyday video about how they need like 10 starships to orbitally one that goes to the moon? He gave a speech at NASA to their engineers. I haven't watched that video, my guy.
Is that about
to refuel it?
Yeah, to refuel it. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because they, I guess the plan is, and you guys can correct me, but the plan is to basically launch a Starship up there and then have multiple Starships go up there and fuel it, bringing propellant up there to it. That's, then that way they can have all the fuel they need to get to the moon or Mars. I believe that's the plan for them to do it now. And I think that's one of the reasons why, in comparison to like the idea that Rocket Lab had for the Mars sample return mission, in comparison to SpaceX's proposal, is why Rocket Lab was able to do it a lot cheaper, way cheaper, as far as how much money that it would cost them to do it. And I'm getting, this is something, kind of new for me, but you guys know better than I do, probably in chats. You guys, is that like going forward, is that like a big obstacle, you think, as far as having to refuel in space and sending more and more starships up? Or is that just something that, no big deal, we're going to get past that and move on? I mean, I'm new to it, but that kind of just stood out to me as far as that could be a potential issue for long-term space flight. And I don't know, that seems to be a bit much to me, but again, I don't know, please correct me.
I do think the mass production of these, and Furries, you might be able to back me up here, but I think the price to actually produce one of these, they believe they'll be able to get down to well under a Falcon 9. So I don't think the actual logistics behind getting one of these to refuel. No, the only thing is it going to be practical having the likes of 10 starships up there to refuel? Is that completely accurate? Is it 10 starships to refuel to orbit the moon? That sounds very unlikely, no?
For the moon, I would say no. I mean, I thought it was more like, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was like maybe 10 for Mars. But I thought like the moon's a lot closer. I mean, I wouldn't think 10. But anyway, yeah, I'm not sure.
So, Ferry says, it just so happens that I know the most about Starship. Before you know it, I'm learning about fluid dynamics and material properties. It's a pipeline. About the payload, though, 200 tons for the future version 3 is insanely efficient. I managed to get 220 tons with a Starship replica scaled up to 133%. Doing it better in real life is insane to me.
Wow. Okay. Wow. If you guys follow us, I hate the numbers, but you can ask Liam when we're not live. I actually love the numbers.
It's just a running joke, to be fair.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny. I know my numbers, but man, you just blew me out of the water with that, and you answered a lot more questions that I have. So thank you. I'm gonna chew on that for a little bit. I'm definitely gonna follow you. Someone else, if you don't know him, Francisco Space. I think it's Francisco Space 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, Furry. You probably should. I think you'd enjoy following him. The guys, if you don't already follow him, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun too. But thanks. Sorry, sometimes you guys get me on a tangent. My brain doesn't work, so I'm trying to think way too fast. My mouth doesn't catch up to it. But yeah, thank you, bro. That's awesome.
So Baggerholm says, watched a video by Smart Every Day called I was afraid to say this to NASA, but I said it anyway. It's crazy. They need to launch a lot of starships to send one to the moon. Furry says, from my testing, for whatever that's worth, 6 refuelings back to back is enough for almost any possible mission profile if you have a payload not to be 200 tons. Assuming the Starship can get 220 tons of fuel into orbit. Baggerholm says there were a bunch of fake AI Elon Musk giving a scam speech about Bitcoin during the last launch attempt. Watch the video. All right, mate. And then the price for an entire Starship is 60 million currently, from what I've seen, when you don't do any extra modifications, which they are doing constantly, so it can be less later. See, 60 million for something that can lift like 200 tons to orbit, my guy.
Well, think about it like this too. It's the size of a skyscraper. What does it cost to build a skyscraper? A lot more than $60 million, that's for sure. And this skyscraper is going to take humans to another planet and establish a colony of people on another planet. At least that's what we're trying to do. That's worth a lot more than $60 million per. That's fun, man. That's so exciting. I hope I'm still, I'm not old, but I'm not young either. But it'd be awesome just to witness something like that in my lifetime. That'd be amazing.
So it looks like we're pushing through with the T minus 105. Now, we haven't got a go from the flight director on X yet, but from my understanding, we are going through to the 53 minutes, which is ship fuel liquid methane load underway. I'll tell you guys when the announcement comes out about that. The Bagger Holding says it's really interesting. VACNC says unit economics change hard when they start reusing the Super Heavy and the Starship. Towards the end of life, they can transition a Starship to a fuel depot duty. Furry says Saudi Arabia built the Burj Khalifa for around $1 billion. Random fun fact, I know. My God,
Yes,
imagine
skyscrapers are
$1 billion.
expensive, bro. Skyscrapers are expensive. Vast, man, what was the read Vast last comment if you can really quick because I thought of something.
Yeah. So, unit economics change hard when they start reusing the Super Heavy and the Starship. Towards the end of life, they can transition a Starship to a fuel depot duty.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, that's brilliant. And that actually goes back to, so we talked about in the past on other videos where we're trying to imagine basically fuel depots or gas stations in space. And we were looking at, possibilities of Rocket Lab and some of their future endeavors. But that makes a lot of sense. That, sorry, excuse me, that actually
Chris,
solves that problem.
And Starship team is go for prop load. So we're going through for prop load. We're hoping for a launch today.
Sweet.
So Chris, you can carry on.
No, that was about it. Honestly, that was it. It's just that solves the problem to the answer that I had or the question I had earlier. Makes a lot of sense. Fuel depots in space, that makes it a lot easier. Whether it's a Starship or a Rocket Lab or ULA, whoever, but they're going to have to refuel somewhere at some point to get to a lot of these places. Makes it more convenient, and using older Starships just for fuel depots, that makes a lot of sense. That was a great comment. Thanks.
So, Furry says using or reusing a Starship gets exponentially less cheaper the more you reuse. For example, 1 + 1 versus 99 + 1. Mate, you are way too smart for this stream, my guy. Talk about getting your head rattled with numbers, Chris.
I love it, bro. I love it. I do. That's exactly why we wanted to do this. you're the perfect example, man. I really appreciate it. We're gonna bombard you with questions. I'm just kidding. We won't bother you too much, but I really appreciate you coming on, man. That it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of
Ferry,
fun. So
we would love to have you on a stream with us at some point. We do bring guests on, specialists in the chosen area. I'd love to get you on to speak
yeah, if
about.
you want to go live, man, if you want to go live, we can talk. After the stream. I understand not everyone wants to go live. Believe me, we got some guys that they're in the comments or they'll message us and they give us all kinds of like cheat codes and great information that if they had their own channel, we would watch them. Me and Leo would both be watching those guys. But I get it. Not everybody wants to be live. I didn't want to be live. Liam makes me do it. He's mean, but do have a lot of fun. But if you do want to come on live, we have an app basically we use. We can have up to 10 people. We had a 16th of August was my birthday, and we had a big birthday bash. I think we had like 5 or 6 people on, and all at the same time. And that was a lot of fun. So yeah, man, you're more than welcome to come on. But don't feel pressured. You don't have to. We get it if you don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to be here.
Chris, I'm still planning on a biggest ever space podcast. I want to bring on every single guest we've ever had on back to back to back to back, whether it's 12 hours, whether it's 18 hours, 24 hours, I don't care. Yeah, we can rotate and have breaks, but I want to do the longest ever space podcast there's been. I think that'd be quite exciting. But me and Chris were actually speaking of an idea last night, guys, and it's something it might relate to some of you. Some of you might think it's completely daft, but myself and Chris do speak a lot prior stream, and we speak a lot after the stream. Look, a lot of it can be pure shite. It's not all space related. It can just be about our everyday life. But would it interest you if we done a backstage pass for some of you guys where, look, you can come into the stream pre-stream and you can come into it post-stream and see what myself and Chris actually talk about before and after our live streams. It could be exciting. Many of you might not want to do that, but look, the idea is out there. Then Ferry says, I'll give a mental estimate that you can reduce the cost down to 12 million with refurbishment. And if you do nothing between each launch, you can easily go under 5 million per launch with many reuse. I think that was the kind of figure I heard Elon say before. It was something absolutely wild, like 5 million per launch, which would be insane for something the size of Starship, an absolute beast, to keep reflying it at 5 million.
It makes
I'm
sense.
looking for any updates.
I mean, it makes total sense. It really does. And if you're again, like I always forget that neutron is it's not fully reusable, but a large portion of it's going to be reusable. The cost is going to go down, and the revenue is going to go up. And yeah, that's totally plausible. 5 million, wow, that would be. It's almost like a plane. You know what I mean? It's going to cost more than a plane ticket, but you know what I mean. It's going to be like an everyday thing, like you see planes flying across the sky. Maybe not in my lifetime, but one day I can see where people just see starships going. They might be going to the moon. There might be one going from, Miami to Tokyo. But I see it. I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy, Chris. Don't listen to me. But I have big dreams, man. Big aspirations. I hope they do crazy stuff. But yeah, that would be very exciting. And yeah, they can get down to 5 million. Yeah, that's very, very plausible.
Then, jumping across, Vast CNC says, at Liam, any other space stocks you're feeling these days? Enlight Laser is in late stages of developing a 1 megawatt laser with heavy backing from the Department of Defense. Ooh, I need to look into that. Is there any space stocks I'm looking at lately? Well, you know what, guys? I got caught heavily with my pants down with Redwire, so I'd only be lying to you if I started saying Redwire, because at this stage I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to get my money back out of it, because at the moment, like, I did have a long-term position, but I overexposed myself massively. It was kind of myself and Francisco who had the bigger bollocks, seeing could we make a little bit of money with Redwire and fire it back into Rocket Lab. So look, I am invested in Redwire quite heavily. Do I want to be? Not as heavy as I am. So I wouldn't say go gung-ho into Redwire. Few ones I've been looking at the moment. I might get a little bit of hate for this because we're primarily Rocket Lab based, but I am looking at adding a bit of ASTS. I just think I'd be stupid if I didn't. I think I'd cry if it went up any further without me being involved in it. I'm looking at Black Sky. Black Sky, I think, would be quite interesting. Another one I want to dive in further on is Intuitive Machines. I want to speak to Scott O about Intuitive Machines. I know Dave G is quite big on Intuitive Machines as well. I need to talk to the two of them guys, see is it something that I could see myself investing in. But at the moment, I'll be dead honest, the only space stocks I am invested in is Rocket Lab and Redwire. But I do want to start adding ASTS, and I could see myself opening quite a decent position in Black Sky. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, look at where Black Sky was a year ago. I agree. I'm just checking these things off in my notes. ASTS. Yep, 100%. And I'll say this too, and this is definitely not investment advice, but I witnessed something on X that really just blew me away. They call themselves the ASTS mob, space mob, and without going into great detail and putting people's personal information out there, one of their family members or mob members, I guess you would say, had something really horrible happen to him, and they all got together and they donated to this family and helped them out in an amazing way. And that in itself makes you want to invest in a company, because it's not always just about the company, it's about what surrounds the company, the culture of the company. We've witnessed something, I think, in the last 5 or 10 years, whether it's a Tesla or a Palantir, a Rocket Lab or Space Mob. The retail investors are really getting a lot more power than they've ever had in the past. And when you have that kind of community, that kind of family kind of atmosphere, sometimes we can actually push the markets in one direction or the other. And so yeah, just for that basic reason, outside the fact that I like the company, intuitive, I do agree. But back to really quick before we jump out of here about this, but I think a great space play that many people might not be thinking about. Most of you guys already have if you're investing and you're smart, mostly smarter than me. But I think Palantir right now is actually undervalued, and I think they're going to be doing a lot more when it comes to a lot of these contracts coming out for the Golden Dome, Space Force, U.S. military. Uh, it's not exactly a space company, obviously, but I think that Palantir could be a good play when it comes to investing in the future of space. Not financial advice, but you asked me, so them is my thoughts.
No, you hit on it quite nicely there. And Palantir is one of those, look, I missed a boat massively on that. And look, I just don't understand the company enough to invest in it. That doesn't mean it's a bad investment. It's a very good investment from what I understand. But I was scrolling through X earlier, and I have seen that there's price targets being raised to $200 now by the end of the year. So look, there's still a nice bit of a runway there in Palantir. So guys, let me know how you do get on. I'm not investing in Palantir. I don't plan on opening a position in Palantir, but
Hey, we've got a great friend in Brett Krieger that will be happy to come on, and you know he knows me. He's met me, not met me in person, but he's known me through X, and he's like, yeah, I gotta dumb it down like I'm talking to a dog or a small child for Chris, so that way, for those of us that don't know Palantir, um, uh, he can explain it in a way that we can all understand it. And the guy's he's a great friend of ours. He's been on before. It's hard to get him on. He's very busy, but I think he'd be more than happy to come on and do that for us for sure.
Guys, before we get into SpaceX's coverage of the stream, do make sure you have smashed that like button. It does share us out to 10 more people. And guys, please smash the subscribe button. Show us a bit of love. We're here every single day talking everything space, and we'll continue so in the long run, put it that way. Sometimes I think, why do we do this, Chris? But do you know what? It is what it is. Ferry says, I'm being intentionally conservative too. Fuel costs, people costs, maintenance costs, technology costs, etc., are spread amongst all launches to give the average cost per launch.
I think Furries wants to get on the launch, man. Tell me, Furries, do you want to actually, if you have the opportunity, would you jump on a Starship and go to Mars? I mean, I love it. I'm too much of a chicken myself. I hate flying, so the idea of but is that something that you probably would you do that? Just curious, would you jump on one of the bad boys and go to Mars?
I wouldn't jump on one to go to the moon. I wouldn't jump on one just to circle the earth. My God, I'm happy here on the ground. I'll jump in an eVTOL in a heartbeat, but my God, there's something about sitting basically on a modified missile that just scares me to the full. It's not natural for a human to sit on top of one of them. You're gonna
I
think
think you're
you're
an idiot for
covering
getting on
space.
an eVTOL.
You what?
I said, I think you're an idiot for just getting on an eVTOL. I'm scared to death of anything out of the air. Remember, me and we talked about with Dave G, and we decided, yeah, we'll watch you go up on that eVTOL. We'll just sit on the dock and drink a beer, and we'll hope for the best. But we're not getting in one, man. You guys are crazy. You guys are insane. Maybe because I'm old. We'll blame it on that. Chris is old and he's boring. Um, I want space to succeed, but my butt's not getting on one of them things, man. There's no way that's happening.
This is actually a very interesting point. So we were speaking about lasers for actual defense, and Ferry said lasers are very risky. They're so power hungry in comparison to other things. It takes megawatts of electricity to shoot down a plane with a laser. It takes a bullet for a couple of hundred to do the same thing. A very spicy bullet. Now, I'm not going to get too far into violence, war, anything like that. We'll try to steer away from that. So we'll continue on with Dieter says, Palantir and Rocket Lab have done great this year. He says,
Oh,
good man.
yes.
Vaccine says, lasers are the spiciest bullets. With AI driving innovation, lasers will get more cost competitive. Kratos is also slept on for the space side. Do you know what, Vast?
100%,
Francisco would
bro.
be loving
Kratos.
you right now. Francisco's heavily invested in Kratos. He hasn't fully convinced me yet to open a position there, but you know what? He is heavily invested in Kratos, and I can see why. Then Dieter says $500 for Palantir in less than 5 years. Do you know what? I really could see that.
100%, bro. 100%. Man, I was buying, man, I hate myself, man. I was buying Palantir last year at 7. I was buying at 24, 27, all the way back down to 7. I had a lot of shares. Um, I had to sell way too early. Then I bought back in, had to sell again. Bought back in at 62, and people said, "You're crazy." I was like, "Whatever, fine. That's fine. Think what you want." Uh, like Liam said, I honestly don't understand all the ins and outs of Palantir. I do understand the basics of it. And again, part of it's because of the people that I follow, that I trust, that know what they're talking about when it comes to investing. So again, not investment advice, but I do take some, put some faith into some of those people. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith when it comes to that, because you might not understand everything about it, but you might like everything you see on the outside. And that's usually what takes to draw you in and peel apart that onion that gets you down to the inside, that makes you truly convicted, so that when it does fall from a 24 to a 7, you're not selling out, you're buying more. Again, not investment advice, but you guys know that's that's how you really should be looking at it. It's a long-term view.
We're 2 minutes
But-
away from the stream opening, so I just want to clear up the chats a little bit. Bagger Holmes said, I wouldn't trust Redwire. VACNC says, Palantir is my longest running position. First stock I brought when I opened a HUD account. Furry says, I don't know. I might. I might will go. It depends on how I feel the day. Furry's
That's
also
a yes. It's a yes.
Furries also says you're really backed up in the chat right now. I typed this at 7:08 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, my guy. What we try and do here is read out everyone's chat, and we just want to respond to absolutely everyone, just to show what everyone means to us. Going forward, we will be doing that. We will just be trying to answer absolutely everyone's question. You guys can steer our chat as we go.
He's telling me to shut up. It's like, Chris, shut up. Liam, read the chats. So yeah, dude, he's right, man. Let's do it. That's what we're here for, man. Thanks. Go for it, man.
Okay, we are now 1 minute away from Starship's or SpaceX's Starship stream. VACNC says, I'm a data analyst by trade. Trust me, Palantir is next level tech for turning data into action. All you need to know. Do you know what, Vast? Before I went as a full-time farmer, I was a data analyst in a well-known insurance company. I can't say it because it was an American insurance company. And I do get where you're coming from. The only thing is, I just don't understand Palantir. If someone can explain Palantir to me, I'd love it. I might bring Matt or Vince on at some stage to just explain Palantir to me. Then maybe I'll open up a position, but I just don't want to dive
Matty
in.
would be great. Matty would be great. He goes on with Amit quite a bit. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but that worked out. That's awesome. I know we're getting close on time, but yeah, Matty would be great, and also again, Brett Krieger. That guy knows his stuff, man. So yeah, we'll get him on. We'll make it happen, guys.
Furry says, I'm not plugged into financial things. It's not my cup of tea. And that's why we want to try and do with the Space Fan Club. We want to try and make it a little bit less financial based, a lot more about the exciting parts of space. This is why we're covering the Starship launch. This is why we constantly innovate, adapt our channel. We just want to try and make as many people as we can excited about the whole sector. SpaceX looks like it's starting its stream. So I am going to jump across to SpaceX right now. I'm going to see what's going on. Guys, do let me know. Can you hear that?
Nope. I can't hear a thing.
Perfect.
But I'm old, man. Maybe it's just me. I'm just old and I can't hear.
No, you're all good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to reshare.
Also, guys, really quick too. So if we miss a comment, sometimes they come in a little fast. Just re-comment later. We will get to you. Promise.
Can you hear that now?
Yep. All good.
All right, all operators on count down 1. Flight directors go for launch.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Starbase, Texas, or what we like to call here at SpaceX, the gateway to Mars. I'm Dan Hewitt with SpaceX Communications, coming to you once again from
Hi, Dan.
our factory. This time pretty cool. Just off to my right there, our new mission control center. Engineers are on console monitoring all the vehicle, the systems, as we are counting down right now to liftoff of the 10th Starship flight test. As you look at the rocket, you can tell prop load is underway. Our T0 right now is set for 6:59 p.m. Central Time. We've been dodging around some weather that is currently the biggest threat to a launch today, as we're at about 70% probability of violation to liftoff. So we're looking at those clouds closely, but not tracking any technical issues on the vehicle. Today's objectives, particularly with the ship, going to look pretty similar to the last flights, the last several launches. We're planning to deploy Starlink simulator satellites and fly a whole range of experiments during Starship's reentry, really trying to test the limits of its heat shield, the flaps, learn as much as possible as we build towards a fully reusable heat shield. We're looking to do a controlled descent, targeted soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, so hopefully seeing Starship on the other side of the planet today. Regardless of the outcome, the goal is to collect as much data as humanly possible. That'll get us all the bit. We're just getting closer and closer to a fully operational Starship.
That thing looks so sexy.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Well, and I are just going to enter this live cast.
All right,
and add a little flavor.
Yeah, right now we're counting down, but we're about to launch the largest flying object ever made. But this isn't on the radar for everybody, and we know that. So we want to kind of take a beat, pull back, do a little bit of Starship 101. To do that, I've got some special guests crashing the webcast today. Joining me now in Star Factory, Elon Musk, Chief Engineer at SpaceX, Bill Riley, our VP of Starship Engineering. Thanks for being here, guys. I know we got a rocket about to get off the bat, but let's start people off like high level. Like, why are we here? What the hell are we doing here?
Well, I don't know about everybody, but I'm here to try to build into the future that I imagined and dreamed of as a child, where starships with people are out among the stars exploring the universe.
Yeah, so the why, it's always important to explain the why of things. And the why of Starship is that we want to be a multi-planet species to extend consciousness beyond Earth, I think for two main reasons. One is to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life as we know it in consciousness, which if we are a multi-planet species and ultimately a multi-stellar species out there among the stars, the probability of survival is much, much longer. That's kind of the, defensive aspect or life insurance for life collectively. But then there also need to be things that are inspiring and exciting and that give you reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
And we're doing it all pretty unique location. I mean, the pad's behind us. We got rocket on the tower. We got another tower with it. We're sitting inside Star Factory. And I mean, it wasn't like this for very long. This is all pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think we moved Starship here in about the early part of 2019. So we've been coming that entire time and seeing the site evolve from a double wide trailer and a tent where we built Starhopper to the first suborbital test flights. And now we have behind us 2 towers for the first time as we build towards the first operational flight from the second tower at the end of this year. And this beautiful building, 1,000,000 square feet, where we're able to work towards a production line of Starships.
Yeah, the SpaceX team has done an incredible job of building out really the most advanced rocket manufacturing facility that has ever existed. This is far beyond any rocket fabrication facility that has ever been built. This is essentially alien level technology, and it was all built here, basically down by the Rio Grande River and close to the beach. It's an incredibly improbable location, and this used to be a sandbar. I think we're about 3 feet or about 1 meter above sea level. It really was nothing. If you see the time lapse from sandbar to two launch towers and a gigantic rocket factory with high bays, and we're going to be building something called the Gigabay, which is like one of the largest enclosed volumes on Earth. So it's sort of like a gigantic Borg cube that we're going to be building here for building and storing these gigantic rockets. It's really spectacular, and anyone can come and visit. So because we're on a public highway, and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone can do this from anywhere in the world. So if you can come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that it's
Just not right now.
Just not right now.
Just not right now.
Obviously not when we're launching because there's some safety issues, but the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just come here and visit. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think it's a really special place. Yesterday, the ship went down the road behind us, and I saw families outside going for on Sunday going for their Sunday stroll, and they were greeted by Starship going down. And I think that from the very beginning, the thing about Starship different than Falcon and other rockets that I'm aware of is we designed it to be mass-produced at scale. And it's not about building one Starship and getting to orbit once. It's about doing it in a sustained and rapid way.
Yeah, we're aiming for ultimately thousands of ships to be built per year, which is what's needed in order to construct a city on Mars that is self-sustaining. And the major fork in the road of destiny will be when the Mars city is capable of surviving, even if the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason. And that reason could be something cataclysmic, or it could be that that civilization simply subsided. There's always this debate throughout history of will civilization end with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. I mean, my guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years but also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age of the universe, according to the standard model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past the decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence of writing, which is about 5,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan so far.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some cool shots. Rocket out on the pad right now. We tell people, like, come down, see it. It's hard to get like a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is. And we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And like part of the reason you said we're sending millions of tons, that's kind of why this thing
I
is
think
so
in this
massive as
image,
it
Dan,
is.
you can actually see the person working at the bottom of the ship. And as we zoom out, you see the full ship, that sort of two-tone silver and black, and then the booster below it, right? And it really
Holy
sets the
crap.
scale, which doesn't come across, I think, other than in person. And when I do tours, I like to say Starship is real, Starship is big, and Starship is really big.
Mhm.
And I think you can see there, and with the factory shots you saw earlier, again, we've got Flight 10 on the pad, but we got many more behind it.
Jesus Cristo, man. Jesus Cristo.
Just a brief scan of part of the Starship factory, and you can get a sense of the scale of the factory. Yeah, I guess we could talk a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like, for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored, and that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the reentry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that is going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we've talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move. And that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Giant
yes.
lightsaber.
No, that's a lightsaber and a half. You would get vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of Raptor. So yeah, burnt to a crisp in less than a second. So
Fun.
Yeah, so in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure's got to be better than any structure ever. You've got to you've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and that no one has ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is to have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, would be caught by the tower arms, and the booster would be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You can also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships, so that you could be flying the booster in theory every hour. This is kind of a profound,
Yeah, sure, why not?
Obviously, for
Crazy.
the largest flying
That's
object
crazy.
by far ever made. But it's the reason why we catch the tower, we catch the booster with the tower arms, and the ship also will be caught with the tower arms, because that's the fastest way to get the booster and the ship back to flight. If we had instead put landing legs, which we have done before for the ship tests, we actually had landing legs that flipped down, and the ship we've successfully demonstrated landing with legs. But if you do that, if we were to do that with the booster and the ship, here we'd have to land somewhere else with the legs, then lift the rocket, stow the legs, transport the rocket back to the pad, which is very unwieldy when you've got a gigantic thing. Then it would be picked up by these tower arms and placed in the launch mount. That would delay the reusability dramatically and would add a lot of mass with the landing legs. So that's why we catch the rocket with the tower arms, because it's the same tower arms that put the rocket in the launch mount are used to catch the rocket. And that means that we can put the booster back in the launch mount in less than an hour after liftoff. In fact, the booster is going to come back very fast. Like, 5 or 6 minutes later, this booster is coming back one way or another, or not coming back. So then you really have propellant fill time, which can be brought down to about 30, 40 minutes. And that means it is theoretically possible to fly the booster again in less than an hour.
I think when I think about it, it's the jet drives up to the jetway, the people get off, new people get on, and it leaves. You don't want to land the jet on a different airfield and then tow it over to the jetway. So it's just operationally simpler and faster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the booster, 3 for 3 on the catch attempts. We bring it back. We've reflown one, so awesome. And then again, Starship Superpowers, the whole thing is reusable. So ship reusability is like what we're working on right now. We've been able to get some really spectacular reentries on a couple of flights, hoping to get this one for reentry on the V2 ship. But yeah, that fully reusable heat shield, that thing that has just never been done before. That's one of the things we're really looking for that data on.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of engineering challenges that remain for both the ship and the booster, but the single, maybe the single biggest one is the reusable orbital heat shield. We are confident in making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, but it will require many flights, many iterations to figure out where the weak points are in the heat shield, where we need to change the design, either strengthening the tile or changing how big the gap is between tiles, changing what's underneath the tile. There's a 100 different variables that we could tweak with the ship tiles, the heat shield tiles. But the only way to know exactly what we should be adjusting is to fly repeatedly and be able to examine the ship upon landing. And we have successfully brought the ship back through the atmosphere and achieved a soft landing multiple times. So we know that this is possible, but we have in the process shed many heat shield tiles. So we need to be able to do this without shedding heat shield tiles and do so repeatedly.
And I think what you're seeing now is the Starship. This is CG of it coming in and landing on the tower, much like the booster, but there's some additional challenges there where we need to make sure we don't scrape the tiles off as we slide along the chopstick
we can't
arms.
shuck the heat shield.
Don't crush the ship.
Rapid
Yeah,
reusability.
if we shuck the tiles, then that's obviously going to fail the reusability test.
So ships can use the tower to land and catch like the booster here on Earth where towers are available. And for our initial landings on Mars and other planets, we'll need landing legs that deploy much like what you're seeing here with Ship 15 when we did our suborbital test to prove out the precision descent landing, which was a successful test. We actually landed to one was we were able to actually recover it. And you can see it here in the Rocket Garden if you visit Starbase.
Yeah, so the Rocket Garden that Bill mentioned, we have actually a whole bunch of boosters and ships, and we'll be adding to them over time. So you can see an evolution of Starship just by driving down the highway.
Yeah, so reusability is key. There's some other technologies we're still looking to prove out. Really big one is going to be the on-orbit refilling. Looking to do that next year, and that's really what's going to kind of unlock, Starship going everywhere else, going everywhere beyond Earth. And that's something that's, again, never been done before, kind of like that reusable orbital heat shield, but it's going to be something that's kind of some of the other secret sauce to Starship, where we're going to be able to send hundreds of tons per ship to Mars.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if we get to orbit with a full cargo bay, but we're empty on fuel and oxygen. So basically, we're running on fumes. Then we send other ships to dock, transfer propellant. And now we made our two-stage rocket look like a many, many multi-stage rocket. And we get all of that performance. And we can take that full cargo bay now wherever we want to go.
Yeah, so a crucial technology that we hope to demonstrate next year is this orbital refilling. Much like aerial refueling, it's essential for being able to send significant payload to Mars. So you essentially send a ship to orbit with a few hundred tons of payload, sort of a filled payload bay. But once it gets to orbit, the tanks will be mostly empty, and then you send up additional tanker ships to refill the Mars ship's tanks, so that it can thrust from Earth orbit to Mars and have enough propellant left for landing. So this is orbital refilling is also not something that's ever been demonstrated before. So that would be a brand new technology. We obviously have at SpaceX figured out how to dock repeatedly with the space station. So in a lot of ways, this is like docking, and in some ways it's easier in that SpaceX is docking with its own craft. but no one has ever demonstrated propellant transfer in orbit, to the best of our knowledge, and so this would be propellant transfer at a very large scale. And
I wonder what we talked about before this
with full
just came
usability,
live.
propellant transfer, those are the key technologies needed for building a city on Mars, and I'm confident that the SpaceX team, which is incredibly talented, will achieve these goals, and we will be landing ships on Mars in the future and building life on Mars, building greenhouses and life on Mars, and ensuring the long-term survival of life as we know it. And it's important to note here that obviously, we are effectively stewards of life here on Earth. That the other creatures cannot build spacecraft and get to other planets. So if there were to be a cataclysmic event, like a giant meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs, or ultimately the sun will expand to envelop Earth and destroy all life, we know this is an undisputed fact. Then if we don't take life to another planet, life will be destroyed. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we do bring life to other planets and ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it on planet Earth.
And I mean, aside
That
from
is pretty
that,
cool.
there's so much that Starship unlocks by being able to do these things. Like, we'll be able to go to Mars, but there are other just transformational things by being able to take that many people, that much stuff to space for that much less money.
Yeah, I mean, I think like understanding our planet better, being able to move people around the planet, make it feel smaller and more accessible. You could go anywhere on the Earth, in less than 40 minutes, basically, in terms of flight time. So I really do see Starship as being this thing that can connect us, just like Starlink connects our information. This can connect us more physically.
Yeah. So there's really nothing faster than a rocket. Really, an orbital rocket is the fastest thing that we know of of the fastest means of transport. So, like, you could go from LA to Sydney in less than half an hour. You could go LA to Tokyo in less than half an hour. You could go from New York to Singapore in half an hour. Everything's probably half an hour, basically. But some things might be 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, sign me up for that, please. All right, cool.
Cross the Atlantic in 10 minutes, no problem.
Please, yes, sign me up.
You're going 25 times the speed of sound, so that's 30 times faster than a commercial aircraft.
And it's a whole hell of a lot better view.
Yeah, it's a hell of a view.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else?
Well,
you're really excited about
we could
coming
say
out?
a lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check in on the rocket
Yeah.
and get
All
on
right,
console.
we're going to go back on console to hopefully the weather supports the launch tonight. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, thanks for your support.
Thanks for crashing, guys.
All right.
It's looking quite cloudy around there. Bagel Holden, please let me know what the weather's looking like around there.
Bro, Musk is the Noah of our generation, and the Starship is the new Ark. That was awesome.
All right, that was sweet.
That's the
Let's turn our
longest I've
attention
ever been
back to
that
the
quiet.
rockets. They're just checking in. We are about 19 minutes and change away from liftoff. As I said right at the top, weather is going to be our primary concern. We were tracking some anvil clouds. We're hopefully clearing that on the range soon. We are not currently tracking any hardware blockers to launch, but we'll continue to follow along. If anyone was following along yesterday, we actually didn't even get into our webcast as we had a leak on one of the hoses feeding the liquid oxygen into the ship through its quick disconnect. We were able to replace that this morning. Team did an incredible job, got us into an attempt today. All right, joining me now for the rest of the day is Amanda Lee. Hi, Amanda.
Thanks, Dan. I'm super excited to be here. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, a whole bunch has happened to get us to today's flight, our 10th flight test. Let's look back at Starship's 9th flight test in May. That did end with a rapid unscheduled disassembly on the ship and the booster.
Flight 9 marked the first reflight of a Super Heavy booster. We saw a successful stage separation and the first ever deterministic flip, which gives us extra performance. The reused booster was flown at a much higher angle of attack to push the envelope on capabilities, which ended up causing some internal structural failure, eventually leading to a rapid unscheduled disassembly at landing burn.
Yeah, ship continued its ascent. We did see pressure drop in its main fuel tank and rise in the nose cone. We just had a camera view. We actually caught the failure on camera in the fuel pressurization system. Ship was able to complete its ascent, though, achieved its planned velocity and second stage engine cutoff.
After that, though, we did run into some issues with attitude control, which led us to skipping the payload deploy and Raptor relay demos. Starship eventually re-entered the atmosphere in an off-nominal attitude, and communication was lost approximately 46 minutes into the flight test during entry, but of course not before one heck of a light show.
Yeah. That booster rud was caused by higher than predicted forces on its structure, specifically that internal fuel transfer tube, as we were doing a higher angle of attack experiment. To fix that for remaining flights with this version of the booster, including the one behind us, we're just going to lower that angle of attack. We're relaxing those forces, and that minimizes the likelihood of structural failure.
And over on the ship side, we redesigned the part of the fuel pressurization system that failed on Flight 9, put it through a more rigorous test campaign, and after subjecting it to flight-like stresses, it did successfully run for more than 10 times the expected service life with no damage, so great test results there. Our goal is always to make it through all of the objectives we set, but any result that teaches us more about Starship performing in the real-world environment helps us to make those targeted iterations and improve quickly.
Yeah, that's how SpaceX developed our first rocket, Falcon 1. That's the same philosophy we used to develop Falcon 9, which has passed 100 flights just this year and 500 flights overall.
Yeah, incredible milestone for Falcon. And again, the way they got there was to launch, learn, and repeat.
All right, so that wasn't the only thing that happened while getting ready for Flight 10. If you followed along, Ship 36, which was originally supposed to fly on Flight 10, experienced a major anomaly during a static fire test at our Massey's test site. It was in the process of loading all of its cryogenic propellant to do a 6-engine static fire when we had a sudden energetic event that resulted in the complete loss of the Starship, and we damaged the immediate area surrounding the stand out there at Massey's.
The most likely root cause was identified as undetectable or underscreen damage to a composite overwrapped pressure vessel, or COPV, in Starship's payload bay section. To address this probable cause, we're operating the COPVs on Starship at a lower pressure and also implemented additional proofs and inspection methods.
Meanwhile, though, keep our launch schedule up, got to keep testing. The team was able to pivot and use the launch pad, the one we're on today, to do ship static fire tests. It was the first time we've ever done that. Doing that retrofit was the fastest path to get back to launch. Team was able to engineer a solution where we used a transport ring to mount the ship, routed a whole bunch of extra hoses and everything to load propellants. They knocked that out in just a matter of weeks, where we had 2 static fires on the orbital mount.
Yeah, very impressive turnaround there, getting to these static fires. These static fires gave us the data we needed to progress to launch and are a prime example of our engineer and technician teams working to build creative solutions to keep us charging forward to eventually bring Starship online.
And even while doing all of this, we're in the process of rebuilding the test stand out at Massey's to get ready for the next generation of Starship, version 3. So right now, though, we are still on track. We're looking about 14 minutes away. Again, our T0 is at 6:59 p.m. Central. While we still have a couple of moments, though, let's toss it over to Chris, who's getting ready to watch the launch out in California. How's it going, Chris?
I'm great, thanks.
Hey, Dan and Amanda, it's going great. And welcome everyone to the Tesla Diner here in Hollywood, California. For the first ever public showing of a SpaceX webcast, it's been great to see the webcast up here on the big screens at the diner. You know, throughout the afternoon, we've had members of the public coming up, mixing and mingling, enjoying some of the food, getting to watch some old science fiction, but also getting to watch and keep up to date with what's happening here for Starship's 10th test flight. I think I can speak for everyone here when I say we're really looking forward to the epic views that we're going to get from in space and during atmospheric reentry, all thanks to Starlink. And speaking of Starlink, that's actually how we're coming to you live from the diner, relying on one of those many reliable connections that Starlink is able to put down across the Earth and in low Earth orbit. So for a little bit more information on the immediate future of the Starlink constellation, let's head on over to Hawthorne, where my colleague Tyler Lionquist is standing by. Tyler, how's it going there? And are you ready to see a rocket launch today?
We are definitely ready for a Starship launch here in Hawthorne. Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity to places where you least expect it, including in space. For today's mission, Starship is outfitted with 4 Starlink terminals, allowing us to get live views of ship while in orbit and all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington, and that's also where we monitor the health of our entire constellation. So let's take a quick look for more on Redmond.
What a lot of people might not realize when they think about the scale that we're operating is that actually 2/3 of the operational satellites in orbit are Starlink satellites. And then all of those Starlink satellites came from right here in Redmond. We've currently got a constellation of over 8,000 satellites that are flying around in orbit. So they're working together to fill out the whole surface of the Earth, make sure everywhere can have service. So we have these laser links that are connected between the satellites, so each satellite can pass data from one to the other. That is what allows us to have these hundreds of gigabit links between satellites, and that's what allows us to connect every corner of the Earth to high quality, high speed, low latency internet. When you think about that Starlink that you have at home, the technology that's in there and that's in your antenna is very similar to the antenna that's on the satellite. We use what are called phased array antennas, which is a fancy way of describing an antenna that's made up of many little antennas that work together in order to direct their energy to a specific spot on the ground without a motor.
Generally, satellite manufacturing is a very slow process. It takes people weeks or months to build a satellite. At SpaceX, we iterate very fast, and we have learned how to build satellites at the 70 sats a week rate. As we have focused a lot on production rate, we have not forgotten about our satellite reliability, which is critical to our mission.
If you look at the whole world and you ask, where is the satellite industry? It's right here in the USA, in Redmond, where the vast majority of satellites are being built right here. Starlink is a truly game-changing technology, and it's all supported by the global satellite constellation from this space here in Redmond. And we're really just getting started at the very beginning of what we want to do with Starlink.
Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, one of today's objectives is for SHIP to deploy Starlink simulator satellites that represent the advanced V3 satellites Starship will be launching in the future. And as you can see here, once Starship reaches a nominal orbit, the payload door will slowly begin to open to prepare for deployment. The Starlink satellites will be dispatched relatively quickly, one at a time, very much like a Pez dispenser. They'll be situated in one long stack, taking up as little space as possible, allowing for an efficient deployment sequence. And once a set of Starlinks is deployed, the next set advances and deploys until they are all drifting away from Starship to prepare for their on-orbit life. Each Starlink V3 launch on Starship is planned to add 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on Falcon 9. So we're talking about a massive increase in performance all around, which will ultimately enable Starlink to serve as the communications backbone of the missions to the moon and to Mars. But for now, we're going to turn it back over to the team at Starbase. Hey, Dan and Amanda.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. So quick update for everybody. So weather is still the main thing that we're watching. We are currently red on the range, hoping to clear that anvil rule any moment now. That's really the only thing blocking us at the moment. Vehicle's good, pads ready to go. All of our checkouts have been really smooth today after that repair work that we did this morning after we had to abort out yesterday. So we're looking at the weather. That's the thing we're really paying attention to right now.
Meanwhile, prop load is still ongoing. We started loading prop at about T-minus 53 minutes, beginning with ship fuel, ship blocks, booster fuel, and finally booster locks began loading at about T-minus 35. We'll continue loading prop until just about 3 minutes before liftoff, and ship will conclude first, and then 30 seconds later, booster will finish up.
Yeah, so bottom line, we're looking great in the vehicle. We're looking really good on the range. We're just really watching that weather. So we're still waiting to hear that that's clear. That's the only thing that could potentially stop us today.
Okay, now let's talk about Mars, since everything we do is part of our foundational mission to get to the red planet. Each Starship launch is to learn more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve ship to the point where it's eventually taking millions of people to Mars.
That's right. We're looking ahead to begin sending the first Starships to Mars next year. These initial ones are going to go without humans. They're just going to put minimally viable landers on the surface, land right on the skirt, no legs. This will just help prove we can actually get to Mars, focus on learning just as much as humanly possible, demonstrating what's needed for Mars transit and the ultimate landing.
Then, during our next window from 2028 to 2029, we'll attempt to land the initial infrastructure and start delivering more equipment while evaluating available resources on the planet. And we'll also have Optimus on board for the ride, designed to do the initial heavy lifting.
Beyond that, by 2030, 2031, as these windows open up roughly every 26 months, we'll continue to increase the amount of payload we're sending on each ship as we're building out more infrastructure, mining resources, generating propellant for ships to come back from Mars. By 2033, we want to double the amount of payload per ship as we just get closer and closer to building a self-sustaining presence on the red planet.
Yeah, very exciting missions ahead, and these first missions to Mars are going to be crucial to setting up what we'll need for humans to eventually inhabit the planet, and we won't be doing this alone.
Sure.
The Italian Space Agency and SpaceX recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the first Starship missions to deliver customer payloads to Mars. These payloads will include a plant growth experiment, a weather monitoring station, and a radiation sensor to gather scientific data during Starship's approximately 6-month interplanetary coast phase from Earth to Mars and also on the Martian surface.
It's a really exciting vision. To make it happen, we're going to need to launch a whole lot more. We're going to need a whole lot of people that are going to come and help us build this. So it makes it really fun for me to come to work. I know you build these things.
100%.
It's got to be fun for you.
Yep, very exciting.
All right.
Looks like we're about 5 minutes from Starship's 10th flight test. Range is still looking good. Still have an eye on the weather at the moment. And prop load is also continuing on both stages of Starship.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up real quick. So we are we're almost closed out on the booster. We're about 90% on fuel, about 90% on LOX, just a bit below. So again, we're going to continue filling for about the next 2 minutes. Once we're completely done with that, we have about 11 million pounds of liquid propellant on board those 2 stages of Starship. So a lot of propellant to move really big rockets really fast away from South Texas. So once we get close, all of our ground systems will prepare themselves. They do what's called pushbacks. They'll clear out all of those feed lines, push back into the prop farm, and just prepare the area around it. We're doing our final guidance and navigation checks right now. The automated flight safety system is about to get armed. We're just really preparing the vehicle to get ready to go. I'm not sure if we passed it already, but we do a final thrust vector control, check out the TVC. We'll wiggle the engines that we use to actually steer the rocket itself. Everybody's favorite topic, if we need to hold, that hold would come at T minus 40 seconds. We can hold if we're still waiting for the weather to clear, which is our big item today, or if any other last minute issues pop up. We'll only hold there if we have an issue. Still waiting to hear confirmation that the weather has cleared. That's the only thing it looks like would hold us today. There's the business end.
Smash that like button, guys. We're here.
Now, once we
every
pass
single
that
day.
T minus 40 second mark that Dan was talking about, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, and ship will switch over to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which occurs shortly after T0. And once we pass that T minus 40 second mark, we do still have the ability to then recycle the count under certain conditions back to T minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened, and if we can proceed again back to liftoff.
Yeah, we hope that doesn't happen, but it has previously. I promise not to psych anybody this time. We do have some kind of points of no return. Once the water starts flowing out of that flame deflector under the launch mount, that happens just a little after T minus 10 seconds. If that triggers and then we hit a hold, that would be a scrub for the day. We have to refill the water tanks, can't turn it off, got to refill prop, all that stuff. So that's kind of the major watch item. You'll see a big splash under the launch mount. And if we see that go and then you hear a hole, that would mean that we're done for the day. But not.
How are we feeling, Chris? You think we're going to get a launch?
Yeah, I didn't disappear. Sorry, everybody listening in.
He seems kind of negative.
For today, do some of the final checks. We are still red on the
So.
range
I
for
hope
weather.
so.
We are
Let's do
closing
it,
out
man.
prop load right now, though.
Yeah, as we wait and hear what's going on, we can just quickly review some of the test objectives for today. On the booster side, we're of course hoping for all 33 of those Raptor engines to power our ascent ahead of hot staging. And once that stage separation occurs, booster will perform that directional flip before the boost back burn. One of the interesting experiments we're doing today is upon our landing burn, which typically ends with those 3 center engines lit. We're going to be intentionally shutting one of those off and instead lighting one from the middle 10 ring. And this is just to kind of give us an idea of what it would look like if we ever had an engine out scenario.
Yeah, using our time to really push the envelope. And so at this point, we are fully closed out on our prop load.
He doesn't
Coming up
sound
on
too confident.
a minute and 20, we are still red on the range for weather. So at this rate, looking likely we will hold at T-minus 40 to see if we can clear that anvil cloud roll. That's the one blocker we currently have to a launch today.
Weather? I mean, weather? That's crazy.
Send the fucker up anyway.
Did just get confirmation, so we are expecting to hold at T-minus 40. We are still red on the range for weather. So look for the clock to pause in just a couple seconds. And pause. So we'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. We do have until the end of the window. We won't have 30 minutes of hold time to hang out, as we can't, we're essentially not replenishing prop on the vehicle at this point. So we have to keep a close eye on things like temperatures inside the tanks. We can only hold for so many minutes before things start to warm up. Surprised it's hot in South Texas. So
yeah, while we're holding here at T-minus 40 seconds, we reviewed our test objectives for booster, but why don't we chat ship for a second? After stage separation, ship will continue onwards up through its ascent to the planned suborbital trajectory. Once it reaches there, we'll undergo SECO, or where the second stage shuts off its engines. We're hoping to deploy 8 dummy satellites today, which are modeled after Starlink V3. We're also planning to attempt a in-orbit burn, so we'll relight one of those Raptor engines while in space, and that will occur ahead of re-entry, where we'll also be testing multiple experiments, including missing tiles, metallic tiles, and intentionally loading those vehicles' flaps. And then hopefully we'll conclude today's test flight with a soft splash down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, definitely want to see a ship on the other side of the planet today. We did just get a quick update. So the range is fully green. Weather is still red. So we are still tracking a detached anvil rule, which essentially there's an anvil cloud that's too close to our launch site and it needs to move further away. Until it moves further away, we can't lift off. So we are expecting an update in a couple of seconds potentially. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We're not actively replenishing prop. And getting an update now. And we're getting a weather update right now. And teams looking at it. Again, we're just tracking this anvil rule still. It's our only blocker today. Range is green, vehicle is green. Weather is currently red.
This is not looking good.
Man, them clouds are not moving.
Right, and
no wind up there.
Sad voice coming in. We did just hear that we are still going to be red. So at this point, we are essentially transitioning this to be a wet dress. So Wet dress is when we fully load prop on board the rocket. So we are going to see the clock probably start up again, but once they get down to 10 seconds, they're going to abort out, and then we will be done for the day. So sad news, not going to launch today. Weather got in our way, but you can only control so much. Can't always control the weather. Can't control the weather. I wish we could control the weather. We're not there yet.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Chris,
Wouldn't
we're
that
gonna
be
go for
nice?
third
So we
attempt.
are seeing the clock rolling, but again, we're going to get down to T-minus 10 seconds, and we're going to see that kick back out,
Yeah,
and then we're going to start
maybe.
offloading all of the propellant that's on board the rocket today. So if you are just tuning in, yeah, it's not going. There it goes. Back to T-minus 40. So again, we essentially turned today into a wet dress. So today still ended up being a test.
Still learning something as always.
Yeah, still learning something. We were able to fix the issue that kind of bit us yesterday, where we had a leaky hose that was feeding liquid oxygen into the ship. But we were able to fix that, but weather got us today. So no launch today. We do have a phenomenal logistics team, though, so we should hopefully be able to replenish prop, everything. We don't have to refill all the water tanks because we didn't fire off the deflector, but we'll have to reload the prop. So very good chance that we can try again tomorrow. We'll obviously update everybody online. And yeah, man, sorry, we couldn't go today. Don't worry, we'll probably go tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you when we do go for launch.
So obviously, follow our account on X at SpaceX. We'll share information as soon as it comes available. We'll also be updating the web at spacex.com. So thanks for joining us today. Exciting countdown. Weren't able to get off the ground, but we'll give it another shot tomorrow. Thanks.
Chris, we're just not meant to stream a launch, are we?
Yeah, no, not at all. Hey, one step closer. That's fine. But we almost got there. But hey, you never know. Space is hard. Space is hard.
Guys, we will try and see if they are launching again tomorrow. I'm very conscious we haven't covered Rocket Lab in 2 or 3 days. So what we'll do a Rocket Lab stream just before the Starship launch, and then we will be streaming Starship. I want to jump back to the comments there. So Bagger Holden does believe they can't get the tiles wet. Matan, big shout out, my guy. I replied to your email there, so hopefully we will get you on our next eVTOL fan club. I'm Anna West, big shout out, my guy. Keep making the great content. Hello, press that launch button, Liam. I really wish I could. Big shout out, Olga. Hello, my friends. This is cool, but to me, not as exciting as our Rocket Lab. Do you know what? We will be getting back to Rocket Lab. We will continue with our daily Rocket Lab streams. We're just branching out a little bit. We're covering everything space at the moment. And it's more of just a chill out time for myself and Chris. Sit back, watch a rocket launch, bit of excitement. We'll see. Furries says, I'm back. Big shout out, my guy. Matan, damn. I scrubbed my fist at my screen. Joking, but still. Bagger Holden says, lame. They suffocated all those indeed. Okay. LMAO says, Olga's right. Poker is more fun when you have your own chips on the table. Ferry says, just point a secondary Starship at the clouds and turn the engines to blow away the clouds. That's actually a good point, yeah? Elon says that would vaporize us in less than a second. So just point it up at the cloud, fire it away we go. Chris, have you anything you want to add for the guys?
I mean, no, that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, again, for 2 nights in a row now, no launch. But we've met a few new friends. We've had a few laughs. Maybe we try again. I don't
Thanks.
know. Yeah, possibly.
Furries, big shout out for coming to our stream. We love meeting new friends. We're gonna subscribe to you. I would love to have you on the channel to be able to talk everything space. Guys, please smash that subscribe button if you're new here. We're really trying to grow out this community. We hit 3,000 yesterday. We're already more or less at 3,010. We're climbing our way to 5,000, and then we're going to storm on our way to 10, and away we go. We want to grow out this space fan club. We want to share our passion with space. Yes, we have some people that are interested in the financial side. We have the likes of Ferries who's not interested in financial side. So we want to have a little bit for everyone. The only way we're going to do this, be able to create the infrastructure, is by getting more minds on board, by getting to know new people. We get new insight, get to learn a little bit more. It's a learning journey for me and Chris. You get to learn about me and Chris, learn about our lives. It's not every day you see a farmer. And what would you call yourself, Chris? A entrepreneur that creates ponds? Is that a nice way of putting it?
I'm just a dad, man. I'll do anything for my kids, and I just work. So that's what I do. I just try and be the best the best father I can, and I have fun with you guys. That's simplify it. That's all I do.
It's not every day you get a farmer and a dad meet up together to talk everything space. It's unusual. We dive down some rabbit holes, but look, you steer our stream. We were speaking to Furs earlier, and we said, look, you guys are what directs the direction of the channel. If you hate this new space fan club, do let us know. We can get back to Rocket Lab, but I'm loving this.
Oh, we're getting back to Rocket Lab. Olga, don't worry. Got your back as always. You always help us out. And tomorrow, I've got some great stuff. I really do. Man, tomorrow's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, tomorrow is gonna be more back to Rocket Lab. Always space, everything space. Maybe a little bit ASTS, but yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a lot of fun. Deep diving more.
We get another launch. I want to see
yeah.
the baby go.
Of course. But I've got some good stuff. I can't wait. I've got some good stuff.
Then Dylan said, even with no launch, you all kept me hanging to the channel the whole time. Great job, guys. Thank you so much, Dylan. This guy, another brother of ours, he keeps us up to date. Everything eVTOL. He is an absolute genius. Guys, if you're into eVTOLs, make sure to follow Dylan is Dylan12 on X. He's part of our team. Ferris says, put Benzie in a Coke bottle, flip it upside down, and you got a rocket. That's actually smart. But you know what, guys? Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you've hit the like button. It does share us out to 10 more people. Yesterday's stream was our biggest ever space stream. We had over 1,100 people in the stream. I want today to be even bigger. And the day we get the launch, I want it to be even bigger than that. Dylan says, it's Dylan. Dylan is Dylan 11, lol. I'm going to say anything, but you hit the 12 twice, lol. Sorry, that's selfish. It's not selfish at all. So it's Dylan is Dylan 11. Perfect, my guys. So please follow Dylan is Dylan 11, my guys. But my name's Ian, one of the host brothers here. Brought my good friend Chris with me. We cover everything space. We are the Space Fan Club. Guys, make sure to share us out to your friends. We are going to grow in this space. We're pushing for 5,000. But right, until tomorrow, we'll speak everything Rocket Lab, ASTS, and hopefully we get a new launch. Until tomorrow, guys.